the winter break, we're back with Matchday Minus Two to look ahead to Leicester's Premier League game with Wolves on Friday. I'm Dan Bates. As you can see, I'm sat alongside Gerry, Taggart and Matt Elliott. Hello, guys.
Hi, Daniel.
Afternoon, Dan.
Did you have a nice break, the two of you?
Go on, Tags, you go first.
Not too bad, can't complain, but a little bit too long, let's say, so itching to get back in and talk some football, talk shop.
Of course you are. Of course you are. Same as you?
Yeah, mine was steady enough, to be honest. I was threatening to go a bit wild because I had a quiet weekend before, but behaved myself. Looking forward to getting back involved in the mix on Friday, yeah.
Absolutely. Coming up on the show, we'll look ahead to that game with Wolves on Friday, and we'll also exclusively announce Leicester's January goal of the month. But first, guys, we can start with the break and what happened for the players. Obviously, a lot of them, Gerry, have been away. What do you think this break at this stage of the season could do for Leicester? Yeah,
I think it's just, obviously, it's an important break, and a chance for the players just to, regroup mentally, regroup physically. And then, obviously, on Friday night, get back on track. So they would have been in this week, training hard, I would expect, after a good few days off, which they will have needed. So it's just important to refocus the mind, make sure the body recovers from what has been a pretty hectic season so far.
It is a difference, isn't it, Matt? Because you think of international breaks being breaks for fans and breaks from the Premier League, but of course the players themselves, they're going away, they're playing football, so this was actually just a break for them.
Yeah, exactly, and I think it's come at a good time for probably all the players in the league, but in particular Leicester City. They've had a real flurry of fixtures, haven't they, over the previous 2 months and beyond, and high level fixtures as well. Top end of the Premier League, 2 cup competitions, semi-finals, etc. The pressure and the onus has been on them to perform regularly, and by and large they've done pretty well, haven't they? I think all things considered, they're ahead of schedule in terms of where you would have been looking at come the start of the season, and it's just a chance for them to sort of reflect a little bit, switch off, as Gerry says, recharge, and also just sort of take stock of the situation. They put in such a massive effort collectively, exceeded expectations, overperformed if you like, but the capability is there to continue with that level of performance, and just recharge really, and for the final third of the season, really go and make a push for it, which we'll probably talk about in a minute. How they go about that. But I think it's ideal for them to enjoy each other's company, where some of them have done socially, or spend time with the family. Just refresh the mind as well as the body.
Gerry, you'll know from having played the game, of course, that during seasons, I guess you break it up before international breaks, after international breaks. But because there has been such a long gap between the last one, sometimes if you get knocked out of the FA Cup early, you might have a free weekend. So it's been a long block, hasn't it, I guess, between November, December, January and now into February.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Matt's covered pretty much every base there. And I think probably one of the most important aspects of this break is, the players being able to take themselves away from the football bubble and just free their minds up. Because it is that pressurised, being in the games that we've talked about, and obviously the last game being the Chelsea match, again a pressurised situation. Chelsea obviously trying to close the gap on Leicester, the semi-final, the game away at Brentford in the Cup. So it's just really important that they're be able to take themselves away and just free themselves up from everything that involves football. And I know that sounds strange, but that helps your mind just refocus. It helps your mental capability, and then when they come back into training this week, they're ready to go again. As Brendan says, hit the reset button and go again.
Especially as younger players as well in the squad. I think it's even more important for them, and there are a number of them, as many people know, in the Leicester squad. But for them, as much as anything, some of them it's all a new challenge, especially at this level that they're performing and competing at. And it would do them a world of good just to have that time to switch off and regather themselves.
Well, as Gerry was talking about, Matt, the Chelsea game was just before the break, and the 2-2, I guess Leicester will have been relatively happy. I know Brendan Rodgers said after the game, yes, they could have gone on and won the game, but it was important they didn't lose it.
Yeah, I think it was, especially, say, going into that break, who the opposition were in Chelsea. And Chelsea are they're a quality outfit. I mean, you have a look at their squad, and it was packed with top-level players. Leicester disappointed here in the way that they conceded. Chilwell and Chowdhury both getting under the ball. Rudiger's, a tough old opponent in those balls. Tall, rangy and athletic, good delivery. But you're always disappointed when you concede from a set piece. And Leicester came back well, as they often do. They responded. They didn't let the conceding of the goal get them down. And they took the game to Chelsea from that moment onwards. And in fact, 15 minutes or so before the break. So they were almost disgruntled to concede. And it went at Chelsea, and they say ultimately were unlucky not to come away with all 3 points.
Strange goal, this one, Gerry, wasn't it? The way that it was played across like that.
Yeah, and I suppose in those kind of instances, you don't expect them to happen too often when you're playing football. So when they come along, you try and take full advantage of them, and that's exactly what Leicester did. It was, as you said, it was a strange situation that occurred, but you have to make the most of it. It's not in football DNA, so to speak. It's not what you expect to happen through a game, a keeper getting caught out of position. Just disappointing, obviously, at the end here, to concede a second goal from a set piece. But
some header, to be fair.
Yeah, overall, as Matt said, say what you want about Chelsea, but they've got a decent squad. And I thought it was a really, really good game of football, and it's probably one of the most enjoyable games I've watched here this season, because both teams go out and they want to win the game. They're not sitting back and playing on the counter, or they're not trying to play a different style or a different shape. Both teams went out in that game and tried to take the game to the opposition. So it ended up being a really good game.
Yeah, you talked about the young players in the Leicester squad. Obviously, 2 of them were on the score sheet for Leicester, Harvey Barnes, Ben Chilwell, and Barnes himself had a really, really good start to 2020, didn't he? Yeah,
he has, and he's been a little bit stop and start. At times he's looked magnificent, and other times he's looked a little bit tentative, and that's probably sums him up at the moment. But the force is with him at the moment, isn't it? In terms of a few goals are going in, the assists are coming as well. A couple of goals have been deflected, whereas before they were getting deflected wide, and it's falling for him. And his confidence is growing as a result. But he's up against top quality players in Chelsea. Reece James, a lot of people are raving about, and he was more than a match for him for the majority of the game. Again, it was sort of in patches within the 90 minutes, but when he was on it, he was scintillating. Yeah, and he needs to take a look at himself. I'm sure he does, and analyse his game and see. When he's on song, he absolutely rips fullbacks to pieces, doesn't he? And if he can do that over a more consistent amount of time, or a longer amount of time, more consistently, then you've got some player.
Right, well, let's see where that draw left Leicester then in the Premier League. There have been a couple of games, Gerry, since then as the first part of the weekend break, but they find themselves obviously still in that 3rd place. Yeah, no, it's a very, very healthy position. Nothing lost with the games that have gone on. So it's just important, as we said, the players will be coming back in this week, that they try and maintain, that healthy position going into the weekend's fixture. So again, every game between now and the end of the season is massive. There's no doubt about that. But with the position that Leicester are in, they've got to feel pretty confident that top 4 is assured. Yeah, 10 clear of Sheffield United in 5th, 12 clear of Spurs, Matt, in 6th place. What are the ambitions then for Leicester towards between now and the end of the season? Well, ambition, if they can stay where they are, they'll be more than happy, won't they? Even if they drop down a place come the end of the season, which I don't envisage, and obviously they'll be looking more positively than that. I mean, a lot of people, supporters, will be looking over their shoulders thinking, oh, it's Tottenham picking up points, Mourinho, etc., and Sheffield United can't be discounted, amongst others. But why not look at it and go, well, we've got a chance of catching Man City. I think if you aim high, the chances are you'll finish that bit further up. You might not achieve your target, but instead of an edginess creeping into your game, look at
aspiration-wise, and I think that's the way forward for Leicester, to go and prove themselves, as they have done for most of the season, prove themselves to try and be as best as they can, and that will take them into the, well, I was going to say the promised land, perhaps a bit of an exaggeration, but into Champions League football, which they're more than capable of.
Gerry, do you think it's something that Brendan Rodgers has spoken about when all the players came back from the winter break? He sat them down and said, look, this is what we can achieve now.
Well, it's difficult, isn't it? Because normally you hear managers talk about, one game at a time, one fixture at a time, and I would say that the full focus will be on the game against Wolves on Friday night, because, let's face it, it's not an easy game against an informed Wolves side as well. But on the flip side of that, I'm sure the players are aware of what they're on the cusp of. Whether or not Brendan takes it upon himself to, to reinforce that, is something that, him and his staff would probably have a chat behind closed doors, and whether or not they decide to, say that to the players as a group, we can only speculate. But definitely they're in a great position to achieve something fantastic that, this season. There's no doubt about that, and it's all about keeping that consistency, which has dropped off slightly, but that's to be expected. It's all about hopefully having this winter break, this mini winter break, recharging, as we said, and then getting straight back on the horse and going out and winning.
Still to come here on Matchday Minus Two. We'll speak about that Wolves game on Friday, as well as the couple after that Leicester, of course, have against Manchester City and Norwich, and we'll also exclusively reveal Leicester's goal of the month for January.
Sài Gòn.
We are an instinct that ignites action. We are a journey, taking one step more. And we are the heart that beats as one. We are proud to be more. De Montfort University, Leicester.
Welcome back to Matchday Minus Two here on LCFC TV with me, Dan Bates. Gerry Taggart and Matt Elliott are sat alongside me. Now, before we look ahead to the Wolves game on Friday, we'll look at the nominations for Leicester City's Goal of the Month for January. Any spring out into your heads, Gerry, before we look at the goals themselves?
Yeah, you got to look at the 2 goals at Newcastle. Harvey Barnes against Burnley, probably. Maybe Ricardo's against West Ham, probably that one's, or 1 or 2 of them. Can't remember, but yeah, probably the 3 that sort of jump out at me is the 2 at Newcastle and Harvey Barnes is at Burnley.
Well, let's look at those 2 at Newcastle first then, Matt. Obviously, they came an important, well, the Maddison one certainly came an important part of the game to make it 2-0.
Yeah, Lejeune won't thank us for showing this again, will he? Newcastle defender who's at fault for both Leicester's openers, but it wasn't a build-up, obviously, mistake by the Newcastle defender, but as soon as it fell to Perez and he's popped it into Maddison, it was the quality of the strike, it was the naturalness of the strike with it being his weaker foot. As he's going to hit it, you're thinking, is that the right option there? And then the quality of it, he struck it as if it's his best foot, isn't it? And we all know Maddison's capabilities, but I was a little bit, maybe you should look for a different option. Bang, top corner, it just went like an arrow, didn't it? And caught everyone by surprise, Dubravka included, but top class strike. Yeah,
right at the end of the game, Gerry, this made it 3-0, and what a strike again, this one.
Yeah, again, this was it ended up in the same corner of the net, but a different kind of strike. It was more God, I can't remember what was the word I'm looking for there. Precise strike from Hamza Cherry. He just side foots it almost and into the top corner.
But again, I was thinking, Hamza, that's the wrong option.
Yeah, and you're thinking, well, I think everybody in the crowd was probably thinking that, but Hamza knew what he was doing. He was playing in that sort of attacking midfield role when he came on, and he got himself into a good position. Lovely little layoff as well here.
I've got to give it that for the build-up. It's a nice, good run, good bit, quick feet by Damari Gray, nice awareness by Ndidi, and Hamza there. Yeah, they're the 2, similar to you, Gerry, that stand out for me. Both those goals against Newcastle. The left foot strike by Maddison, the pure quality of it. But that one with Hamza, it was an alternative finish as well. And I like Hamza. I'm always supporting him as best I can. He's my boy, Hamza. But it was a top class strike. Whether he'll repeat that quite regularly or not, I don't know. But again, I thought it was on for him just to put his laces through it. But he's picked his spot and he's got it inch perfect. Yeah,
great goal from an academy graduate. Gerry, the next goal in our shortlist comes from a development squad game. Admiral Musquay in a 5-1 win against Wolves.
Yeah, the under-23s doing very well this season. Again, lovely little through ball here and a lovely time run from Admiral. And that's a cute little finish, just, using the keeper if you want and just waiting for the keeper, knows he's going to go down and just plays it under his body. So again, doesn't force it, doesn't try and rip, the back of the net out. Just a nice little soft finish. Here, bang, lovely little finish from him. Good ball, good run. So yeah, excellent football indeed.
Yeah, it's all about the build-up, Matt, isn't it? And all about the ball.
Lovely ball through, well weighted, but that's what Admiral's all about. He's been employed out wide in a 3 at times, not his natural game. He's all about goals. Admiral has been since a young boy. He's developed physically, as you can see there. He's a beast of a player. Currently out on loan at Swindon, where hopefully he'll get some opportunities. Hasn't quite worked for him just yet under Richie Wellens' guidance. But he's got a future in the game, Admiral, at whatever level, and he will get people goals, as you've just seen there. When he's played in that central role, he's a real handful.
Yeah, it's an academy loving at the moment, these goals in the shortlist, Gerry, because the next one comes from another graduate, and that's Harvey Barnes at Burnley. Yeah,
that again, really exciting goal this for Harvey. Just picks it up, as you see here, just inside the Burnley half, and away it goes. And, you just see him coming up against Ben Mee. Ben Mee can't even get a challenge. Never mind keep up with him. He can't even get a leg out to try and, get a block on a strike. That just shows you, the sheer raw pace. But more importantly, in the build-up, is the close control just here. 1, 2, bang. Fantastic close control. While he's running at pace, past the defender. And then when you're in that when you're in that position, you know, the most important thing, I suppose, is to hit the target. He does it. Yes, it deflects off the keeper, but there's too much pace on the ball for the keeper to do anything.
I'm not quite sure what Mee's doing there, by the way. He's showing him on his right foot. He's trying to show him what he thought was the furthest angle away from goal.
Yeah, the tightest angle.
Yeah, but it's backfired on him there, and Harvey's like, really? You're going to show me that? Thank you very much. Boom. Had too much for him. As he did when Mee conceded the penalty against Barnes as well, that Jamie Vardy missed. But, yeah, more evidence there of what Harvey Barnes is capable of doing.
Yeah, next up, Gerry, was the West Ham game here at King Power Stadium. Good for 1 win for the Foxes that evening, and 2 of the goals from that night feature. Yeah,
absolutely. Again,
Harvey Barnes again.
This is Harvey, yeah, great bit of play here. Composed pass, fantastic pass, and, you know, Ricardo, lovely little strike into the bottom corner.
That's a better finish than I think people
I was going to say,
give it credit for. Again, so easy to balloon that over the bar.
When the ball's coming at you like that, and you've got to come on to it and steady yourself, and then strike it like he did. Most players would side foot that.
Yeah.
Only your top players will do what Ricardo did, because that is very, very difficult.
He's intent on keeping it low, isn't he?
This angle, you can see he almost hits it into the ground and it bounces up, and that, I guess, took it away from the goalkeeper.
Yeah, I've actually never spotted that before, but you're right, exactly. His intent, right, I'm not going to waste this opportunity. It's not going over the bar, whatever happens. Keep it down low, and it's worked out perfectly for him, hasn't it?
Yeah, and that one, that's just a clever finish from Perez here. Again, good build-up play. A lovely little ball in it. I don't know if he meant that touch, Jose, you know, to get it to Iheanacho, but anyway, it worked. It worked a treat, and he just returned the favour here, Iheanacho. And this, just using the defender, you know, stroking it through. He means every bit of that, Jose Perez, to put it in that corner and play it through his legs. So that's a clever little strike. Yeah,
and a lovely finish, set up by Kelechi Iheanacho. He's the last goal in our sequence of nominees, and this, Matt, though, is about the pass, isn't it?
Yeah, here we go. Does he mean it or not? Yes, he does. Not quite at that trajectory. I'm not totally sure about that, but the pass inside the fullback, yes, he's got it bang on, hasn't he? And it was too much for Brentford early on, wasn't it? And Ricardo again showing his attacking qualities. Didn't need the touch. Got his head up as the ball was arriving. He was looking for
it. But watch again the reaction of Iheanacho and the defender. You know, as soon as that ball's played by Dennis Pratt, Kelechi's spun and he's on his back. The defender's still watching the ball, and by the time he realises that Iheanacho's away from him, it's too late, and he's scampering back, but he can't get back because he's ball watching. So that's really good forward play from Kelechi.
Yeah, he looks so confident lately. You know, total contrast to what he was even 3 months ago, probably certainly 6 months ago. But you saw there, you mentioned it there, with Perez's goal against West Ham. Kelechi was there, you know, the sure touch, 2-3 touches, but he's got control of the ball in the West Ham penalty area. And all round physically, he looks a different specimen. Leicester have got a proper, genuine centre forward now to either accommodate or play alongside or replace Jamie Vardy if and when he's not available.
Right, 7 options then. Just a one-word answer from each of you. Which is your goal of the month for January?
I've already said mine. I'm going for Chowdhury.
You've not changed your mind? You're going with
No,
Chowdhury?
I can't do that.
Madison. So both the goals at Newcastle. We'll find out at the end of Matchday Minus Two when we announce who's won the LCFC Goal of the Month for January. Before we do that, though, Gerry, we've got to look ahead to Friday and Molineux against Wolves. It'll be a tough game, of course, it always is. We remember what happened there last season with the 4-3 and a fantastic game there. Leicester will be going there hoping to certainly get something from the game.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, forget about the 4-3 last season. I look back to the first game of the season. You know, it was a hard-fought draw. You know, and I think VAR came into play in Leicester's favour that day. So we know what to expect. You know, the players know what to expect when they go to Wolves. It's going to be a hard game. So they've got to make sure they're set up and ready for it. You know, they've got some dangerous players. In Jota, in one, who I think's, you know, pretty underrated for Wolves, but I think he's a fantastic player out in that left-hand side. And they've got, again, they're a team that spread the goals around. You know, they score goals from all different areas of the pitch.
Traore's on fire at the moment.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm trying to think of a few of the other players. That Jimenez up front. Yeah. Obviously, we know about him, but they have goals from all over the pitch. So that's probably going to be the main concern for Brendan going there on Friday night.
Yeah, Pedro Neto's looked lively when he's played as well. I think he joined in the summer, didn't play too much. And then since December, January time, he's looked really good on one wing with Traore on the other.
Yeah, they've got two good teams, aren't they? You know, going head to head in a similar way to Leicester-Chelsea a couple of weekends ago. And, you know, it's along those lines, isn't it, as a matchup? No one can say with any conviction who they think is going to come out on top. It's going to be a very tight affair, you would think, come what may. But this is the sort of environment that Leicester are mixing in at the moment.
The work rate's very similar. Their style of play is very similar to the way Leicester play. You know, they're a hard-working team. And you see, when you're a team that works hard, you get your rewards. And yes, again, you can talk about the style of football going forward, which is very good. But it's all about the hard work off the ball, and Wolves are a team that will work just as hard as Leicester.
Yeah, got a good balance in that respect, haven't they? As have Leicester. But it's a big couple of games coming up, to be honest, because, again, we're talking about that fifth place spot predominantly, aren't we? You know, if Leicester can stay above that, that's the ultimate target, really. And you know, the gap widened, even when Leicester weren't playing particularly well. They managed to maintain and actually improve that gap. All of a sudden it's closed a touch. 2 hard games coming up, so there's a little bit of pressure on, because if both games were to go adversely, then obviously teams will be picking up points and that gap will be closed even more. Having said that, there's ample opportunity for over the course of the next, 13 games or so, you know, to Leicester. If they go about their business properly, just keep a level head, remind themselves of what they are capable of, don't get edgy, don't get twitchy. I'm sure they have enough to see them through.
That's something that you expect the experience of Brendan Rodgers, who's been in title challenges, title races. He's won numerous competitions with Celtic, so he's got the experience of knowing what it's like at the crunch time of the season and how to keep his players in check.
Yeah, absolutely, and not just Brendan, but obviously some of the squad as well, who are, you know, title winners in their own right. Casper, you know, Johnny, Wes, who's an integral part of the squad, Jamie Vardy. So yeah, you know, all that blend of, you know, the experienced players, stroke the manager and his team, will be vital in keeping cool heads in pressurised situations, because they don't call it the business end of the season for no reason. You know, there's going to be a lot of to and fro between now and then, so it's just important that all Leicester can concentrate on is what they do. They can't worry about what surrounds them or what's going on, you know, on a Sunday or a Monday or a Friday night. They've got to concentrate on what they do.
Yes. I think Leicester need to be mindful, you know, of them to themselves, about the faith and confidence they should have.
Absolutely.
You know, they're in such a luxurious position, really. The pressure ultimately is on the teams chasing. You know, I'd flip it round like that, because let's say Friday night, if Leicester go into that game, approach it with a conviction and say, right, if we win this game, that's the end of Wolves in terms of Champions League spot. They're not going to be a threat at all. That's them gone. If they lost to Wolves, Leicester is still in a strong position. They've got another opportunity to do that. So, you know, the pressure's not all one way on terms of Leicester. A good result for the Foxes on Friday night, and Wolves are not qualifying. That's one rival out the way.
Yeah, it's an exciting prospect on Friday. You can, of course, listen to every single kick of it on LCFC Radio. Before we go to Matchday Live, though, the pre-match pint starts at 5 p.m. on Friday. That's followed, as I said, with all the build-up and full match commentary from 7. And then on extra time on Monday evening, we'll assess that game with Wolves, with Gerry Taggart sat in the studio here for LCFC Radio. Right, before we announce January's goal of the month, guys, we'll get you quick predictions ahead of the weekend, please, ahead of Friday's game.
Tough game, 2-2.
1-1.
2-2 and 1-1. Draws apiece from Matt Elliott and Gerry Taggart. Well, that's the end of Matchday Minus Two here on LCFC TV. We hope you enjoyed it. Now we'll leave you with LCFC's Goal of the Month for January, as voted by you guys on lcfc.com, and with a whopping 64% of the vote, it was only going to be one winner. It is, of course, Hamza Chowdhury.
Go on.
Forward to Perez, now to Mari Gray. Skips beyond the couple inside the box, rolls it back to Ndidi. Now Hamza Chowdhury shoots! Oh, it's another wonder goal! Hamza Chowdhury spectacularly makes it 3. It's a golden start to the new year and the new decade for Leicester City.